Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, Hoosier fans. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you along. Glad to be with you no matter where or how you're listening. Man, what a weekend, huh? Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed the Hoosiers win over Oregon. Destruction again. At the Peach Bowl, the Indiana Hoosiers are now 15-0 and heading to the national championship game in Miami Gardens against the Miami Hurricanes. And they're a 7.5-point favorite over a team in their home stadium. Get out of town with that, baby. Wow. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you today. Another great show coming. The Fish will join us in the next segment, not too long away. Rakestraw will jump on today as well as Dustin Dopirak. Plenty to talk about, but mostly, how about that destruction of Oregon in the Peach Bowl? Indiana, very opportunistic, they lead the nation in turnover margin for a reason. First play of the game. I mean, it was nuts. Everybody's juiced and jacked. And what did I tell you before the game? I told you this was going to be probably a 90-10 Indiana crowd. I was telling everybody that. And then I sent out a tweet. I was wrong. It wasn't 90. It was 95% Indiana. If it weren't for the cheerleaders and the band, I'm guessing Oregon may have had a couple of thousand out of the entire thing. I sent pictures out. I had one picture that was a panoramic kind of a deal and videos. But there was just one. I told you, remember the picture when Indiana played at Eugene and you had that little patch of green or red up there? That's what it was for Oregon. And it was loud, people. It was crazy. And congratulations to the Hoosier faithful for showing out. It makes a difference. I promise you. It's tough. It's tough on a football team when you can't hear. And they couldn't hear. It was fun. Fred, enjoying the tailgate videos that I did. You know what? I've done more of those and just haven't been great about getting those out. And I'm going to do a lot better job of that, especially down in Miami, because people do seem to enjoy those. And I go out and amongst the crowd, ask you, hey, who are you? Where are you from? Run into a lot of great people from all over. And it was fun. South Bend, people coming up from Florida, Dallas, Texas, trying to remember. Now at the Rose Bowl, it was someone from Mexico City. It's just fun getting out and seeing people and running into great people, even people from Evansville, man. Some great people from Evansville. And I gave away some shirts that I had with me. No, Cuban did not loan me $1 million. I wished he would have. I didn't ask him that. But I did find out that our daughters are both going to work at the same place. So that's kind of cool. How about that? But yeah, I got, Mark Cuban was unbelievable with his time with everybody. I put out a bunch of videos about that, but also pictures of him sharing his time with, I saw him taking pictures with band members, Red Steppers, former players, virtually everybody, people that shouldn't have been on the sideline even, getting some photos with him. Won't talk about that, but yeah, it was a fun time. And as a matter of fact, we'll let's hear from Mark Cuban. I asked him specifically. I saw him talking to Adewale Agungbale, who was there and enjoying the heck out of it. Adewale, an 11-year NFL veteran, former NFL great, and that's another thing. They had honorary captains for this game. For Oregon, they had a former one of their great running backs of the past. He was a well accoladed person. For Indiana, they had Kyle Schwarber. Nice for Kyle Schwarber. But you know what? Why not someone like Adewale Agungbale, an 11-year NFL vet who played football for Indiana and who was available? So, doesn't matter. But I asked Mark Cuban about, because I saw Adewale talking to him, and I talked to Adewale after that. We'll hear from him. But I asked Mark Cuban about, these guys appreciate, the former players appreciate what he's doing. I saw him talking to a few of the other guys, former players that were there. Keyshawn was there, and yet another one. But here's Mark Cuban when I had a chance to talk to, one of the chances I had to talk to him.
We were talking to IU legend Adewale Agungbale, and I talked to him, and he was very appreciative of what you've done to help the program. And what does it mean for you to know that those guys really appreciate you just being a part of this?
I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong, and the fan accolades are great. Don't get me wrong, but it just when you're around greatness and you have a chance to participate with an organization that's special, it's just fun to be part of. I mean, I don't care. I don't, interviews, no interviews, whatever. Just watching it, and when it's a team I grew up with, basically from the time I was 18 years old, to be part of this, wow, just wow. And I'm glad people appreciate it, but what it gives me is far more than anything I could give to IU. No one would know who the hell I am if it weren't for Indiana University. Everything I've accomplished started at IU. And so anything I can do to give back, I'm going to do to give back.
How about that? Pretty profound right there. I mean, he is just all in, and you got to love that. And he's, not looking for accolades, as you can see right there. And this program is going to continue to grow, because I think there are going to be, this is just going to foster more growth, and it's going to foster other people getting involved like that. And it makes you wonder, damn, how good could Indiana be? Because this is a team built on the fact that they're built on not having the 5 stars and the 4 stars. They've got 7 of those and 0 of the 5 stars compared to, 50 total of usually of the both of those two the other teams. But what's Indiana going to be like when they are one of those teams that has 5 stars and 44 stars? Can they get that kind of talent and maintain the ferocity that they play with, the precision that they play with? Well, we'll have to see, because they're going to get that opportunity. I promise you. The recruiting is just going crazy. That's something we'll talk about this week. And but guys want to come play for Cignetti. They want to play for a winner. They want to play in these national championship games. They want to play in the college football playoffs. They want to be a part of this. They want some of it, baby. They want a piece of the action, and it doesn't look like Indiana's going anywhere. Again, if they're doing it with this level of talent, the talent is already getting better coming into what would be coming into B-Town. Hey, let's take a pause for the cause. For those peeps in Bloomington, make sure you head out to Dave & Buster's for all the IU games. $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas. Great place to catch a game with family or friends. Got those 3 large wall TVs, many other flat screens, audios. Plan your next watch party at Dave & Buster's. Sunday's fun day, half-price games. And don't forget Dr. J down in Southern Indiana, Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry, keeping you with that championship smile. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, on the other side, right after these messages. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, and that means a visit from our friend Don Fischer. Another busy time for you. We're talking about the great time down in Atlanta, but you also had to come race back. Don had to race back. We have the Pete's Bowl. Well, Indiana has a daggone basketball game the next day at noon, which virtually no one could make it to except for our buddy Don, who had to race back and call that game after you had to be on a cloud. You may have floated back on your own cloud after that win, Don.
Well, the cloud that I was on was the team plane, so and that was part of it. And I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but we had problems with the team plane. The pilot turned on when he landed it, it was like landing on a cloud. It was perfect, the perfect landing, which is rare in Bloomington at that airport, because they usually set them down pretty hard. And
probably a short runway.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the runway's fault. The runway was plenty long enough, but the pilot had apparently never done or flown into Bloomington before.
Oh,
and we landed at 3:15, and he apparently turned either too short or too quickly or something when he was turning the plane toward the terminal, and we got into the grass and couldn't move, literally. And so we sat there, and they couldn't get the buses out or anything else until, it was an hour and 15, 20 minutes after that. So
but you all landed and had to sit on the plane?
Yes. It was not pretty, and nobody was very happy about it. Although obviously everybody was so thrilled with the victory and those kind of things, guys, they weren't complaining right away, but by the time we were sitting there over an hour, I guarantee you that nobody was happy. Anyway, long story short, it was different. And it made it for a tough day for me from the standpoint of sleep because I got virtually none.
Right. And it's been a tough run already because you've had so many doubles up. Hell, you've had 2 games in the same day during this run between the Big Ten championship and now. So doing the yeoman's job. At least the football team has given you reasons to keep on staying up. If they'd been losing, that would have really sucked.
Well, it's just been spectacular. There's no question about that. Everybody knows that this football season and last year, the combined of the two has just been a remarkable turnaround. And I hate the word turnaround because I don't think it does justice to what Kurt Cignetti's done here at Indiana. But that being said, this football team is special. It's going to win a national championship in my mind. I don't go into any games anymore thinking anything but Indiana's going to win. That's just how I look at it at this point. The Miami team they're about to face is a really good football team. It has a lot of talent on that ball club, and they are a physical bunch. They will play hard, and it's going to be a challenge. I don't think there's any question about it. But like so many of these other teams, and the one thing that's kind of struck me more than anything else, Jim, in this run here to the national championship game are the other games that we watched and saw the mistakes that all these other teams are making. And Oregon was just the same scenario. They had 3 turnovers in the ball game. The very first play from scrimmage and pick 6 for D'Angelo Pons. And then, of course, they bounced back and scored a touchdown after that. But already the table was set for more things to happen negatively. And without question, they did. And I will say this, Indiana's defense, that they were just spectacular in this ball game for virtually a lot of reasons, but more than anything else, they just put so much pressure on the quarterback. He did not, again, have a very good football game. And Indiana, I guess, is the only team this year that has given him that much trouble, and he has not handled it well.
No, and they did a spectacular job, and that was one of the areas that we had questions of because the last time they were there, they had Stephen Daly, and they didn't this time, but hey, it doesn't matter whether it was Dominique Ratcliffe or Mario Landino or whoever, Daniel Ndukwe, coming up with fumbles, just causing havoc.
Right.
Like you said, just giving Dante Moore hell and just frustrating the heck out of him and keeping him on the run. Brian Haynes again just does a spectacular job. But this was such an opportunistic team, but that tone was set by D'Angelo Pons when he picks that first play off. I talked to one of the guys that handles media for a lot of events there and other places. He says, I've never heard that place louder than that on that first play. And you wouldn't expect it any otherwise, Don. 95% Indiana fans in that thing. And it was like they almost blew the roof off.
Well, it was spectacular. I mean, the whole weekend, when you think about all the fans that came to Atlanta to see this ball club, the same in Pasadena, it was almost identical. Probably there were a few more fans out there for the Rose Bowl game from the opposition side, but this Indiana fan base is just enamored with this football team. And I know that they're going to try and make the same scenario happen down in Miami, but that's going to be a much tougher challenge because obviously it's the home of the Miami Hurricanes. So it'll be a tough challenge, but I guarantee you, I think it'll be a 50-50 at the worst for Indiana fans.
I agree too, because Indiana fans and I have lauded them. They have done an unbelievable job of getting their hands on tickets at the Rose Bowl, 80% at least. Atlanta, 95%. I knew Atlanta, they were in trouble. I was like, oh, this is going to be bad for people. It's a driver. So, and Oregon is so far away. And like you said, I agree with you. They'll get their hands on at least 50% of those tickets. Yeah. And it's in Indiana fans, they're hungry, just like this team is hungry. And the great thing, you mentioned no mistakes. They're continuing to play mistake-free football,
Right.
and that is amazing for the time they had off. They're the only team to win as a bye team, but they are still playing machine-like,
Yep.
and that is just amazing. And they're doing it with guys that that shouldn't be winning a national championship. That's what I love, Don. When we get to walk around the locker room now with the open locker rooms, I look at guys, I'm like, these are not the guys that should be winning a national title and kicking the crap out of these people, but they are doing nothing but that.
Well, here's the thing. They've got the best coach in the country. They've got the best coaching staff in the country. They develop the talent. There's a process, and they stick to the process. I mean, it sounds like we're talking like Kirk Eddie, and that's exactly what we are doing, because what he has preached has taken this team just like it did last year. Probably that team last year not quite as talented as this one, but without question, they're a dominant football team. They're the best football team in the country. They've proven that to me. Whether they win or lose this next ball game, I still believe that they're the best football team in the country, and it's bar none. And I believe Indiana's going to win this football game, just like I believe that they were going to win every game up to this point.
Yeah, I agree too, because they're just playing too good, but they also, because they have so many weapons, shown by Fernando Mendoza hitting 5 different receivers for touchdowns in his game. He was nearly perfect, didn't throw a lot, didn't have to throw a lot, but when he did, it was precision, precise, great catches, and 5 different guys scoring. Not many teams can say that or do that.
Right. There's no doubt. And look, it's as much fun as you can possibly have, without question, from a football perspective. And this Indiana fan base is enjoying it immensely, as they should.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll carry on as Don and the team will head to Miami this week, and we'll be down there as well. Indiana basketball having an opportunity to knock off an undefeated Nebraska team, and they had them, it appeared, for a while, until the same thing that happened to them down in Lexington in Kentucky. The turnover bug just took over, and man, oh man, they give up a nice, was a 14 or 16 point lead.
Yeah.
And allow the Cornhuskers, who, it's not like they allowed just anybody, but they had an undefeated Nebraska team where they could have taken them down. But again, turnovers just get to them.
Well, there's no doubt that the turnover bug in this ball game, and they didn't have 1 million, they had 14, but those 14 turned into 11 Nebraska points. And one of the real reasons that they lost this ball game was because they just didn't take care of the basketball as well in the second half as they did in the first half. And when you have a flurry of turnovers like they did, that allows the other team to get back into it, especially if they're a really good basketball team. And Fred Hoiberg's got these guys playing terrific for Nebraska this year. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get punked at that point, because you can't make those kinds of mistakes. We're talking about mistakes in football. It's the same scenario in basketball. You commit that many turnovers, and they did it in a rash. There was like 4 or 5 turnovers there in that one stretch where Nebraska got right back in the ball game. Now the whole momentum of this ball game has changed at that point. And when momentum comes into play, and there is momentum in college athletics or in any kind of sport, when momentum comes into play and the confidence stays very high for the team that's trying to turn it around, you're in trouble. And that, you can tell that there's pressure on the team that had the lead, and now all of a sudden they're fighting like crazy not to lose that kind of momentum, that kind of thing. And it compounds itself mistake-wise.
Absolutely. And then tonight, another challenge with the Michigan State Spartans, and a little more travel for you, or tomorrow night rather. Yeah. And you have to head up to East Lansing, and that's not going to be an easy chore for this team.
No, it isn't. The good news is that Indiana did beat them at Michigan State last year. So, and granted, it was a totally different roster, so that aspect comes into play as well. But I like this Indiana basketball team. I like watching them play. I think they play hard. I think they bust it out there all the time. They are they are limited in some areas. There's no question about that. But I think that they're a team that's going to be, I think they're going to show themselves well throughout the season. I think that's the one thing Indiana fans were hoping for, and I think they're going to get that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I've said this before. I think they still find a time where they knock off one of these teams that they're not supposed to be, like whether it's Nebraska or Michigan State, because they've shown they have the talent to do it. They've just not played well enough to complete that.
Yep, no doubt. But this is a ball club that gives you everything they've got every time they walk out on the floor, and that's what I like about them.
Don, you're headed to Miami next. What's going through your mind that you're actually going to go call a national championship football game?
Well, now I'm just getting prepared for it right now. So I'm not even at this point. All I'm doing is working. I consider prep aspect of it work, and that's the one part of the work that I still enjoy it. But I just wish we could play the game. I didn't have to prepare like I have to, but I do.
Yeah, I bet Buck Sewer is having the time of his life.
Absolutely. We're all having the time of our lives, boys and girls. I got to go.
Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always.
See ya.
There he is, the voice of Indiana, Don Fischer, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, as he does each Monday. He'll be heading up to East Lansing tomorrow, or actually today, probably, because they have to be there the day before, but to call that game. And then the team does not arrive, the football team does not arrive in Miami until Friday. Which is when I'll be going down as well. So everything, they get a little more time this week, but then it starts again. There's more media availabilities today, tomorrow. I forget what the schedule is after that, but it happens, baby. Football National Championship coming on Monday. Unbelievable. Indiana playing for all the marbles in football. It's crazy, but it's true. It is nuts. But that's the truth. And then how about Mark Cuban? Not looking for the accolades. And people are still, I think Indiana has grabbed a lot of fans. They may be grabbing a lot of fans around the country that may not have a football team that are latching on. And so Richard is saying that it's being reported that Mercedes-Benz Stadium ran out of domestic beer by halftime. I don't know anything about that, but that would suck. And that would be a little surprising because it's not like they haven't had, hell, they've had a Super Bowl in there, I believe. But yeah, it was amazing. It was certainly amazing. And then after the game, the people that stayed, it was wild. But yeah, every Hoosier fans having a blast. You can go to our YouTube channel. There's a big piece there where I'm just walking around talking to people. Hey, who are you? Where are you from? And so Gritty's saying that's not true, which I would have found that hard about the beer thing, which I found that hard to believe myself. Yeah, that makes no sense. But and when you read stuff like that, look to see where you're reading it, who's reporting it, have enough understanding of things to know that if it's coming from a source you don't recognize, you don't know, if it's on Facebook, period, you damn sure better be looking someplace else to back it up. Go to Twitter, go to a legit news source for anything, people. Don't read crap don't read stuff on Facebook, first of all. If it's on Facebook, odds are it's not true. It doesn't mean it's always not true, but odds are it's not. Have you seen all the crap? There's so much stuff on there that's just generated that's fake. But there was plenty of beer drank, plenty of fun had down in the ATL as Indiana fans took that city over for a few days. And it was amazing to see and good for Hoosier fans. Absolutely. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you along. And we're back with it right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Monday after Indiana secures its spot in the college football playoff national championship against the Miami Hurricanes down in Miami at Miami Gardens. That happens a week from today. Man, oh man. Yes, it's real. And Indiana continues. I don't know whether to say to shock the football world at this point. How much can you continue to shock people when you're doing the same thing you've done? You destroyed Oregon. You destroyed Alabama. You beat Ohio State. You beat Oregon twice on the road, and you destroyed them at a neutral site. That pretty much puts to bed. I guess I kind of was thinking Oregon might be the second best team in the Big Ten, and that's not true. It looks like you still have to go with Ohio State as being second, and just the amazement that I'm sitting here talking about the fact that it's Oregon's third or Ohio State second. Indiana's still a clear number one. A clear number one. It's crazy. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network, as you heard on the commercial break there with us, stays busy with a multitude of things. His season with the Colts is mercifully over, I guess I should say, as they will go into the off-season rebuild mode, and a lot of consternation about the keeping the coach and the GM. And I know that fans have opinions, and that's all they can do is have an opinion. And there you go. Greg wearing his Indiana Adidas merch today as well, but they're not doing too well. The basketball program or team right now, they had a shot to knock off an undefeated Nebraska team, and I was thinking before I left, I go, with all that's going positive for Indiana football, Greg, I'm like, I could see Indiana knocking off Nebraska at home, and they had them right where they needed them, and then pooped the bed and let it get away. But I'm sure your weekend was very, very busy, as it usually is. How did that start and go?
It went very well, but I actually had a Sunday off, which is good and bad. I mean, I really would like to get a playoff check again at some point in time. That would be nice. But no.
And a ring to go with it.
It'd be nice. Friday night, doubleheader, North Central and Ben Davis, and then I get to go home and do one game a year. And so I had Lanesville and Eastern on Saturday night.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Lanesville getting a 65-56 win for, on the boys' side, win number 2 of the campaign for a very young team. Eastern is 2-9 on the season as well. And then a day off yesterday. So recharged and ready for the week.
Yeah, well, there you go. And it's staying busy now because high school basketball is in the full throat edition of its season, as they are, we're in January. So they're ready. They're midway through?
Correct. So on the girls' side, they've got 3 more weeks of the regular season left to go. We are 2 weeks away from the pairing show, which will be Sunday, January the 25th. For the boys, obviously, that pairing show comes a little bit later because the tournament obviously is in March. But like, for example, in ISC, we've got one of the best games in the state coming up on Friday night. Carmel and Plainfield square off. So a pair of top 10 teams will see each other at Carmel on Friday night. Folks can watch that on MyIndyTV 23 in Indianapolis and stream free at iscsportsnetwork.com. It is also Marion County Tournament Week, which likely would see Ben Davis, LN, Pike, and then there's kind of an open quarter of the bracket from their team, a non-MIC team, to make it. But the Marion County Tournament's in its 2nd century. It has been for a few years. I'll be at that championship game on Saturday night. We'll have coverage of the semifinals on Friday night as well. But we're just kind of checking the boxes at this point as we get ready for high school tournament season for the girls in February and for the boys in March.
Yeah, it's rolling in closely. And then once we get to that in the tournament, of course, you get uber busy with tournaments running and one on top of each other. After the tournament's over, where do you all turn your attention to?
So once the basketball season is over on ISC, we'll produce a little bit of baseball and softball. We are the production wing for the Indianapolis Indians. So that's 75 days for us right there. We do a lot of all-star stuff by the time we get to April. So the HBCA All-Star Game, which is the Southern Indiana All-Star Game, the Hoosiers Reunion Classic at the Hoosier Gym, which is always the last Saturday in April, working with Anthony Leach and his Prep Ball Stars company for his Midwest Challenge, which brings in players from Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I think that's going to be back at the Farmers Bank Fieldhouse in Lebanon, and that'll be in early May. And then we'll have 4 days worth of Indiana All-Star coverage in the first week of June. So the action rarely stops for us on ISC.
Yeah, I forgot about all that, man, because last summer was very unique. Normally summer is when you can take a breath. I mean, once I get through May, and I know May is a busy month for you, for me as well. I cover the Derby, I cover the 500. And it's just there's a lot going on. And then June, well, damn, then recruiting and all the basketball tournaments are starting. And last year it got busier. And then July comes, and guess what? Well, that's when they have Big Ten football media days, and then basketball media days. And it's like, wait, what? And football started. It's like, wait, what? Oh, it was like it last year. It didn't stop, which I'm not complaining because I'm not digging ditches. Love what I do, but boy, it didn't slow down last year. And now with the way Indiana football's going, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna slow down again.
So here is the difference that will be 2026 versus 2025. The city and the state were very much engaged with the Indiana Pacers. That's not going to happen this time around, even though they have now won back-to-back games, which is good and bad in the race for AJ Demancia, who's going to be the obvious, I think, first pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Pacers aren't going to be a playoff team. Just how good a chances will they have? They're going to be in the draft lottery, and I think this is a good accomplishment. the Pacers have never had the number one pick in the NBA draft. They have been in the NBA now for more than 50 years. They've had two on a couple of occasions. Wayman Tisdale and Rick Smits immediately come to mind. But they have rarely been in the lottery over the last 30 to 35 years, and they have never had the number one pick. So that's going to be different. Obviously, from a Colts standpoint, there is no number one draft pick because you traded away for Sauce Gardner. And so that's why I think there is going to be so much coverage coming from Indianapolis of the NFL Draft Combine at the end of February, early March, because there will be so many Indiana Hoosier players that will be taking place in it. And I frankly think, I would hope that Friday night ended any debate as to whom the number one player that was going to be taken. Given the heater that Fernando Mendoza has been on all season, but especially the throws that he has made and the efficiency he has played with in these two quarterfinal and semifinal games, he is the number one pick. And I think the Las Vegas Raiders will be taking him, knowing they have an immediate need at the quarterback position. I'm not sure if that takes out any of the coverage. But to your point about IU football, and you reference, the summer, I think it's more of a spring thing. And I think now for the first time ever, in addition to talking about the NFL draft, spring football will be a very big deal in Bloomington. There will be people covering all 15 practices, and there will be thousands of fans in attendance at whatever constitutes a spring game at this point, just to see this football team. And again, that will be, middle of April. Obviously at IU, you kind of have to plan that around Little 500. Not something you think about like on any other campus, but something you got to think about when it comes to IU. So we'll be talking about different things, Jim, but there is always something going on, which is why you and I do what I do for a living.
And you mentioned that spring game and people actually showing up.
Right.
That reminds me, that's Alabama-esque.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I remember Alabama getting 90,000 once for a stinking spring game. Now,
Right.
That would not be the case right now, I assure you, but it has happened. And I don't think that that's going to happen with Indiana. It doesn't matter if it was 10,000. If you come out to a spring game, you're showing some dedication and some great interest because you're not going to see a lot, but you're just going to see the team.
If Indiana has, my guess would be, Indiana will look at a crowd of 30 to 40,000 for a spring game this year.
Wow.
Seriously. People will have that level of care because after Monday night, it'll be your next chance to kind of see the team in action. And because we're going to talk so much more about IU football in the offseason, again, I would think that place is going to be a lot closer to full than it ever has been. It may look like what an old crowd used to look like for a football game, not what it's going to look like now or going forward. But that would be the turnout I would expect for the IU spring game in April.
And that in and of itself is an amazing thing. I mean, we can talk about amazing. The fact that we're doing what we are, what we're talking about, what happened down in Atlanta, Greg, it was amazing. I predicted it was going to be 90%, and I tweeted out, I was wrong. It was 90. It was 95%. and if it weren't for the band and their cheerleaders, there would have been little to no. If the Peach Bowl helped them out. The Peach Bowl workers, their shirts were green. And that was not on purpose, but I went up to one. I go, I'm sure Oregon appreciates you guys because you're all helping giving them a little something out there. But it was amazing. Mark Cuban was there and was extraordinarily free with his time, was gracious. I saw some of the former football players talking to him, one of which was Adewale Agungbale, an 11-year veteran in the NFL. And they were all appreciative of his support of IU football. But this fan turnout, hey, man, if you build it, they will come, right? And Cignetti has built it.
Well, I will say this, and this is not to diminish in any way, shape, or form, crowd enthusiasm, et cetera. There were, Indiana fans are turning out in droves because they can't believe this is happening. And there's the FOMO, there's the fear of missing out. They also had a couple of factors in their favor in terms of setting up such a large disparity of crowd in the previous two games. Frankly, I think they will be more Indiana fans than Miami fans in the national championship game a week from now, even though you are playing In Miami's home stadium, I think there'll be more Indiana people there. However, this will be the closest to neutral just because there were some mitigating factors the first two games. First of all, Indiana fans knew from December the 7th on, you were playing in the Rose Bowl. Alabama fans knew that as of December the 20th. We as Indiana fans have heard about stories of the 67 Rose Bowl team or dreamed about going to a Rose Bowl. Alabama fans, it's Sugar Bowl, national championship, etc. So again, factors in favor of having the Rose Bowl be 80-20 or whatever it was. Secondarily, then when you get to the Peach Bowl, there is the obvious proximity advantage Indiana has in that game. And the fact that everybody and little brother in our state, you go for a vacation, oftentimes you were going south. Oftentimes you were going through Atlanta on your way to Florida. And so frankly, it was like, well, we drive that all the time, not a big deal. And anybody that didn't go to the Rose Bowl says, all right, fine, I'm going to the Peach Bowl so I can now be a part of this. And so again, that's not to diminish anybody's enthusiasm or the remarkable accomplishment that has been that basically in Pasadena and Atlanta, Indiana has played 2 home games. They didn't get a home game not being in the round of 16 or round of 12. They got 2 home games in the quarterfinals and semifinals. This, again, will be much more of a neutral site, but I still, my guess would be, Jim, Indiana fans would outnumber Miami fans like 60-40 in their own backyard. That's what I think will happen on Monday.
I am dead in 100% agreement with you that right down to that number. I think that as well. And someone had told me, I forget who it was when I was down in Atlanta, that Miami doesn't have a ton of fans like they used to. But I'm like, man, when you're playing in the Natty in your hometown, you get bandwagon people plus people that live in Miami that probably just bought tickets when they had the opportunity. But Indiana will fans will do what they do, and I think you're right on the you hit the nail on the head there.
And again, every alumni base has alums in Florida. Everybody has retirees in Florida. And the one piece of advice I would tell folks, fly into Fort Lauderdale because it's actually closer to the stadium. Because where the Dolphins and now the Hurricanes play is much further north than flying into Miami. So if you can, having covered Super Bowls involving the Colts, fly into Fort Lauderdale. It will be, I'm not sure if it's any cheaper. I'm not sure anything's cheap right now, but at least be a little closer to the stadium for you.
And I am, and you're correct, but actually I'm not staying close to the stinking stadium and was told, or the official, hotels or wherever they are.
Right. Because they'll shuttle you back and forth. Correct.
Yeah. And I don't know that the stadium is actually in a great part of town. I don't know that, but you're exactly right. I am flying into Fort Lauderdale. So, because it is closer to the stadium and hell, maybe stay in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, you're fine. Or Hollywood. I forget which side of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood's on, but either way, it'll be a hell of a time, and it's a lot better than being in Indiana in January. Although I don't think it's going to be that bad here.
I got to tell you, Jim, I'm looking forward to actually, and I had this luxury on New Year's Day. I did not on Friday night, and we talked about this, how games were being moved last week. Ooh. I think about 20 or 25% of the Friday night games got moved to other dates. Like, for example, I think Bloomington South and Bloomington North are playing tonight. They were supposed to play Friday night, obviously. Of all places, you're not playing that game on Friday night up at IU in Oregon. The games that I had stayed, North Central and Ben Davis. So the very laptop at which I'm speaking to you through was off to my left with ESPN.com as I was calling the North Central Ben Davis game. I don't think I reacted on the air and called like the wrong play. Like I didn't say that Ben Davis scored a 48-yard touchdown in a basketball game. I think I avoided that. But I am looking forward to on Monday night just sitting on my couch and watching this and getting to experience this as a fan. It's part of what I enjoyed about the Pacers run, frankly, because they're not necessarily on my beat, kind of like the Indiana Hoosiers. You get to be more of a fan and enjoy it. And so I'm sure there'll be a beverage or two and a fine meal involved, but I'm looking forward to taking about 5 steps from where I'm sitting to you right now and watching next week's national championship game.
And there will be no lines for your restroom.
I'm not going to get charged $3,500 for my ticket. My mortgage
The
is
beer
somewhere
will be a
that's gonna
lot
so I'll
cheaper.
consider that my prime ticket for the game, so.
The beers will be so much less expensive
Very
and
much so,
readily
yeah.
available, and much more
Yeah.
readily available.
If there's a line at the bathroom, we got to call a plumber. Something has gone significantly wrong.
Oh, well, what's up? What is up next for you work-wise besides getting to enjoy this?
So I tell people my schedule tapers in January and February, that it's busy, not crazy. So I've got Indiana State, Illinois State on ESPN Plus on Wednesday night. I've got IU Indy and Robert Morris on ESPN Plus on Thursday night. I've got the girls wrestling state finals, second year for those under the banner of the IHSAA. That's the Corteva Coliseum on Friday night. IU Indy again Saturday afternoon, in the Marion County Championship game on Saturday night. So 5 events in 4 days, but I get to kind of ease into my week. And given the schedule I keep, I'm very much looking forward to that, Jim.
I'm sure, and then you will get to sit back and enjoy Indiana in the national championship game. But just to hear that, it's crazy for me to say. It's got to be crazy to hear. But they're not just going to this, Greg, with like, man, we sure hope that they can have a chance. They're going in there as 7.5 point favorites in Miami against Miami after throttling Alabama from the SEC, throttling Oregon again for a second time. And this is just crazy.
I really thought Oregon would play them a competitive game. I thought Indiana would win, but I think you and I had the conversation last week. Hey, listen, Oregon has seen this. They at least have some sort of expectation as to what might be coming. Let's think this is more of a one-score game. Jim, was 42-7 midway through the third quarter. I mean, just absolutely stunning that game. You say it's hard to beat a team a second time. Not for Kurt Cignetti, apparently, because in the Oregon game, the defense carried the day for the Hoosiers. There was a busted coverage that gave it a touchdown. There was obviously a pick six that led to a touchdown. Indiana played well, but didn't play great. Indiana nearly played a perfect game on Friday. And now, can you do that one more time? Can you do that one more time? And Indiana being a national champion in football. Not exactly a phrase any of us thought we would ever say. Ever, ever, ever.
No, without question. And the thing I've had asked to me, I've been a guest on several radio shows leading up to this, and people have asked, what do Hoosier fans, would they care more about, a football national championship or a basketball national championship? And right now, I would have to say football, just because it would add to the mystique. And if this team does this, Greg, 16-0, first 16-0 national champion, there was 2 teams back in like the 1800s.
I think Yale went 16-0 in 1894, Jim. I think that's the only other one.
I'm sure they didn't have quite this schedule, but
no. The computers didn't think their schedule was as strong as the Hoosiers this year. No, sir.
And this is happening in the 50th year anniversary of Indiana basketball going 32-0. I mean, what do you do with that?
Well, just to revel at it. What I would say is this, though. I think the basketball program is forever changed because of what the football team is doing. And simply put, now I think Indiana fans can look around and see and recognize, hey, football success is different. Football success, I hate to say it, trumps basketball success.
Right now it does.
The impact, again, there are schools that have done both. You want to be fantastic in both. I think you can be outstanding in both. And I think the basketball program will be helped by the football team. But there is nothing like success in football for what it means to a university. The admissions are going up. We'll see if enrollment goes up. Donations have gone up. This is the gamble that you would take to invest in football at this macro of a level. And man, has it hit for Scott Dolson, for Pam Whitten, and for everybody involved in Bloomington.
And they're loving it. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network. Make sure you're tuning in to all the great coverage and following Greg. Appreciate you, my friend.
See you next week.
Absolutely. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle. I'm back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Monday. Glad to have you along as the Indiana Hoosiers heading to Miami to play in the college football playoff national championship game against the Miami Hurricanes. The number 1 Indiana Hoosiers at 15-0, looking to make more history. They've already made history multiple times, and looking to secure what I think is it's definitely one of, if not the greatest sports story in the history of sports. Now, it's hard to no one's ever going to agree probably on the greatest thing. You can look at it as the turnaround, but to me, it's just more than that. It's not just a turnaround. A turnaround would have been if they were going, 8 or 9-3, just being competitive all of a sudden in the Big Ten. That's a turnaround. This ain't a turnaround. This is a 180-degree reverse course, full steam ahead, bulldozing through everything in its path. I don't even know what you call that, but it is what is going on. Indiana turned around and just bullied everybody, bulldozing through the last 2 seasons. Did you know this? Curt Cignetti has set another record as the most wins by a Big Ten coach in his first 2 years. It was Urban Meyer, I believe, with 24, and I think it's now, I know it's now Curt Cignetti with 25, so 15, what did they win last year? 11, so that's 26. So, boom, he's up to 26, right? Is that correct? I believe, yeah, it should be. So, there you go. Either way, Curt Cignetti has set that record. Most wins by a Big Ten coach in their first 2 seasons, beating out Urban Meyer. Yes, Indiana is the new superpower, and Curt Cignetti is the conductor of that superpower. Wow, it's nuts, but fun. And speaking of which, got to talk to some of the players afterwards. What are the heroes? Let's hear from D'Angelo Pons, who set the tone the first play, actually, I'm going to try to pull that up first. The first play to hear what it, I don't know if you guys will be able to hear what it sounded like, but I talked to somebody, I think I mentioned this already, that on that play, it was the loudest that anyone had ever, that it had been in that stadium. And it was just mind numbing. You couldn't hear what was going on. That's for daggone sure. But man, trying to find that, darn it. Zach Browning from the Hoosier.com had posted it, and well, I'll find that later. But right now, let's hear from the man who put that crowd on its feet. Well, it's not playing for some reason. I'm not sure. There we go. Still not playing. That's odd. So hopefully we'll get that to play in a minute. But I also spoke with, well, let me try it on this side, see if this one works.
That's moments you dream of, a big game like this, just to be in the end zone and everybody cheering your name. It's just moments I dream of, and it definitely was a blackout moment for me.
You have hardware right there in your hands. Well, I mean, what does this emotion feel like for you right now?
I mean, it feels great. Another surreal moment. Couldn't ask for any more. MVP of the Rose Bowl as well. And just blessed, honestly, to go back-to-back MVP. I don't know if anybody ever done it, but I'm just blessed.
This group calls themselves the Misfits. What is it that makes this group of misfits so special?
I wouldn't call ourselves the Misfits. People on the team think that we're just a group of underrated guys, people who are overlooked. I guess that's why they call us Misfits, but we're not. We're a great team. We're a great group of individuals that came together for one common goal, and everybody bought in, and we're on the way to finish it.
How is this group able to be so dominant in every single phase?
I feel like it stems down for coaches. Coach Sig, our DC, our OC, just everybody keeping the same standard no matter what, success or failure. We're keeping that same standard, and I feel like that's how we keep going.
What kind of
There you go. There you go. There's D'Angelo Pons talking after the game about his experiences, and something there, he mentioned it. No one else thought of this or figured it out, but he mentioned it, and I'm pretty sure, I bet it's a fact, that he's the MVP for the last two CFP games. I don't know, we'll have to go back and research, but has anybody gotten the MVP in back-to-back CFP games before? Now, these aren't bowl games, so that's something that doesn't the first game wasn't a bowl game. The second game, that's not true. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking last year. The Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl. First guy ever to be back-to-back MVPs in bowl games. Pretty sure of that. First of all, that hasn't been around for a long time, so that makes it even more of a fact. But just that's something that's going to be hard to eclipse by anybody in the future. So we'll see. But D'Angelo, he's not the biggest guy, but he makes the biggest marks on games, continuously does this. So it's going to be hard. It's when he gets to the combine, it's going to be tough for him, because that's where they usually knock on every different little thing that you need to make the league. Dustin Dopirak stepping in and joining us now. And Dustin, that's all right. I was talking about D'Angelo Pons. D'Angelo's not the biggest guy in the world, 5'9", probably. But yet he continues to make the biggest plays in the biggest games. And and I know when he goes to the combine, this as well as anybody, boy, oh boy, they're going to knock him for this and knock him for that. And there aren't a lot of DBs in the league probably that are 5'9", but because you've got so many of these 6'4", 6'5" receivers, but he goes up against these guys time and time again. Can he do it at the next level? I don't doubt his athletic ability to do it. Sure. But they're going to challenge him in every way. But you know what? It seems like the more you challenge him, the more he steps up.
Yeah, I mean, there are, we've seen this for years. And like undersized guys do make it. I mean, you will get hit. You will go in a later round than you think. But that doesn't mean you don't have a chance. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of guys find a way to just stick, and because they do what they're supposed to do, because they play hard, because they play the game the right way. They play fast, they play physical. You are capable of turning a third or fourth or fifth round pick into a multi-year NFL career.
Or an unrestricted free agent that those guys sign as unrestricted free agents. And I think we'll see a lot of Indiana players, both that are drafted, and then a lot they're going to be picked up that way because there are so many of these guys, because we talk about they don't have 5 stars. They only have 7 4-stars. So they don't have the prototypical talent that you would see at the combine, but they're able to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, just be good at football. I mean, that's the thing. Is some of these guys, I mean, that's why they are where they are. That's why this team is what it is these guys are good at football. It's you look at like height matters and length matters, and all those things matter as far as people when they're looking to draft, especially when it goes high, because you got to nail that. I mean, like if you're talking about a first round pick, if you're talking about a second, third round pick, you can't miss on those, and you can't take flyers on those, because it's just, when you're building a team, you can't be like put a lot of investment into guys that don't have the prototype stuff. But when you get into later rounds and stuff like that, you can take a chance, you can take a flyer, you bring a guy into camp and give him a crack at it. And, when you do that, a lot of those guys just end up making it and sticking, and some end up starters, and you never know. And so guys like Pons have a chance, I mean, you've seen guys like that for years. I mean, I remember like Tyler Metakevich in, I covered him in Pittsburgh. I mean, I think he had a phenomenal career at Temple, but he was a guy that was small. He ended up at Temple in the first place, and that's why he was like 5'10", 5'11", linebacker. But just did the right thing all the time, and has stuck for a long time as a guy who was a really good special teamer, second string middle linebacker, that kind of thing. You get a crack at it, and there's practice squads for a reason. There's 65 guys that end up on the roster, and guys move around, guys get hurt, you get a chance, and you never know when you're going to get an opportunity and when you're going to have to, you're going to get a chance to turn something into something. So I'm going to think, I mean, Pons strikes me as a guy that's going to be an NFL player, just because I think he's just too good at the game to not be.
Well, and making plays like he did at the Peach Bowl, first play of the game, that's instinct. That's just a great player. That sells in the NFL.
Sure.
Pick six will sell in the NFL all day long.
Yeah.
And it's his, he makes up for his size by his innate, it seems like his instincts, he is like Velcro, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's right there. So the pass better be way above him to even get to it. But even if it does, he's there on his defender. So, but that's the case for all of this Indiana team, man. They haven't made mistakes. They have just done what they're supposed to do, and they're doing it with guys. It's funny looking at these charts that are created of the stars, and I know everybody's like, oh, it does matter. These guys are 5 stars, most of them, and 4 stars for a reason, because they are bigger, faster, stronger, more talented. But Indiana is just doing it with guys that are athletic, that are hungry, that are very coachable. And the coach being coached by the best coaching staff in the country without question, because of how they have approached this, how they do it, and the players are completely bought in. That's hard to get anywhere on any level. I don't care if we're talking high school, college, or pro. It's hard to get, especially in football, that many guys to be completely bought in on the same thing.
Yeah, no, I thought one line I hadn't heard before was, I think McElroy and McDonough were on the call the other night, and
McDonough, by the way, is the guy that last year said IU didn't belong and was embarrassing, I think, to be there in the CFP.
Yeah, it was a little much. Also, he's Sportscaster of the Year. McDonough's pretty good.
I know, and I love Sean. I've worked with him, and I know him.
No, but
I voted for him for that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. No, I mean, there was, the rhetoric has been wild. And because college, you and I talk about this all the time, college football is just nuts. And there's, like it's bound to make you look stupid. Like talking about it is bound to make you look stupid. You're going to have a take that makes no sense at some point in your career. And it's going to be proven wrong. Basically, like, obviously I thought they deserved to be in the playoff last year, but obviously they're better this year. Like this is, this team is wild. But McElroy was saying that they had a meeting with Brian Haynes and they were saying, how do you get 11 guys to buy in the way you do? Because there's some plays sometimes when you take yourself out of a play to set your other guy up, like where you're running a twist and you're kind of running away from it and the other guy runs in and he's the one who gets the sack and you just kind of run into a wall of bodies to get other guys away from that guy. And I guess Haynes said, we have a bunch of guys who care about winning more than they care about being drafted. I had never heard it put that way. Because for the most part, you hear like people think of it as like they are the same thing. Like if you win, everybody wins, at the end of the day. But basically, football is different. And there are times when you're a decoy or you're this, you're that, you, in some way, shape or form, you might have to sacrifice yourself. There's more possibility for that, in football than, most sports. But there's, it's the equivalent. There's more equivalence of bunting in football than there are, even in baseball. And I was just interesting to hear it put that way. And I don't know why it stood out so much on tape for McElroy to ask. That I thought was just really interesting. Basically because you'd have to think everybody has this issue, but they were kind of going through it on it, in respect to transfers, in respect to NIL and everybody, having their own interests and being hyper aware of their own interests just in the state of the game now, having guys that operate like that. I thought that was really interestingly put. And yeah, it continues to just it really stood out to me, I think, more than any other time. The way the analysts talked about them after the Peach Bowl was just like, yeah, I don't know if this team can lose. I like Miami's going to have to be darn near perfect. They were really in awe after that game. It wasn't just even after they beat Alabama, it was always like, yeah, maybe Alabama wasn't really that good. This time it was like, okay, we knew Oregon was that good, and they still dismantled them anyway. And
in a completely different way.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just, in this, they have played every phase remarkably well at every facet of every phase. They've been good at. I think, they kind of, in terms of like watching them, I think of them the same way. I think of those Connecticut teams that won 2 titles, in particular the second one that beat up on Purdue in the final, that you were just like, they're gonna win. They just have, if you're an Indiana fan, don't get too up in that. Cause I understand that the feeling of, jinxing and whatnot. But it just has that look of at some point they're going to dismantle you at some point, you might be able to play with them for a while, but the fact that they don't make any mistakes, the fact that they can harass you so much and get you out of what you want to do is eventually going to cause enough pressure for you to break. And that was what it felt like watching that Connecticut team in that tournament run with Castle and Samson Johnson and Spencer and that group. You watch them and you're like, they're just going to wear you out. And Edie had 40 that night, and you were like, okay, well, they're just taking everybody out of the rest of these guys out of this game. They're letting Edie score whatever he wants, but they're gonna, just hold everybody else to darn near 0. And that's sort of that's a specific tactic, but just the fact that eventually they're going to get you is what Indiana looks like right now, because they're just good at everything. They're just bringing constant pressure. They're just gonna win at the line eventually. And on both sides of the ball, they're going to run the ball enough. They're going to give Mendoza time on the offensive end, and on defense, they're going to take your run game out and get to your quarterback. And, and they're going to cover well enough that even if they don't, you're not going to have a lot of big play capacity. So where's your option? Where's your angle? Where's the way that you beat them? There's just not right now. And it's remarkable to watch.
You're going to have to force a ton of turnovers by the.
Sure.
You're going to have to somehow, if I'm the opposing team, you have to somehow try to find a way to force them to make mistakes. How? That's another question, because that is something they haven't done much of on either side of the ball. They have shown to be so unbelievably disciplined. The offensive line, the one thing about that 24-day layoff, boy, you want to talk about getting healthy, and this offensive line needed that.
Yeah.
And man, they're playing lights out. The one thing about this game that kind of, and I heard a lot of other people talking about it, I was like, why the hell is Mendoza still in the game? And why is he running up the middle, torquing and twisting his body in there? I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Stay out of that crap.
Guy, Signetti was just trying to just crush people,
it is 0-0 in his mind. I'm telling you, it's nuts.
Yeah, no, it is. It continues to be hilarious every time you watch the post-game interview in Signetti and Mendoza, and you're just always like, how are these two people friends? What do they talk about? They're the striking opposite humans ever. Signetti is like, I'm gonna go have a beer, and Mendoza's like, all glory to God. It's just so just. You're
well, the great and the funny thing is their personalities are so large. Even Fernando he's not boastful or anything, but it doesn't matter because of his communication expertness. How he's better at most people that are interviewing him. First of all, looking into the camera, being unscripted, just boom, laying everything out without making mistakes there. Hell, he doesn't make mistakes in his interviews, and he's very unbraggadocious, and not that Signetti is braggadocious, just matter of fact.
Yeah, he is.
And it's like, hey, it ain't bragging if you can do it, kind of a deal.
Sure.
But he loves that stuff, and but I think he continues to relish, and as he should. He's doing what nobody could do, what he was told couldn't be done at the place it couldn't be done. Sure. And not only is he doing it, he's doing it in a fashion that could never be imagined.
Yeah, no, I mean, I say this, I mean, there's definitely a big part of why it could not be imagined is he figured out the new code and broke it right out of the gate. There's not an analog to this because he is using tools that didn't previously exist. But he's just using them well. You could say this guy never did this. Bear Bryant never did this. Joe Paterno never did this. Bobby Bowden never did this. You go through a whole list of all the great college football.
Well, he just beat Urban Meyer's record for wins in first two seasons as a Big Ten head coach.
Yeah. And it's just, it's wild, but it's you didn't have this opportunity. He was uniquely positioned, but he maxed it. So you don't want to, I don't say that to take it away from it, but it's just you can't compute it on another scale because it doesn't look like nobody else had this opportunity. I mean, I covered Kevin Wilson when he got the job. If Kevin Wilson could have brought 10, 15 guys from some school, from any school, he'd had a different career, and I don't think he'd have done this, but when you have to, roster building used to be different. There just were not the tools were not there to do this. It was not possible. And now it is, but it's just, and he was in the right place, coming from the right place, but he's wired the right way. And it does, his ability to see talent in people that other people don't see is pretty remarkable. And his attention to detail and desire just to kick the crap out of you and be relentless and not be satisfied with anything is pretty remarkable. And he's created this thing. And he's just, again, he like you said, he's created a team that, again, you can't force them into mistakes. And, it's remarkable stuff. He has the right to be this, he has the right to operate the way he's operating, period.
Yes, he does. He's a smooth operator. Hey, I think I missed a break, so let me get that in. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with me right now. We're back with more. right after these messages. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Back with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you. As always, appreciate you being with us on this Monday. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star as well. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Keep me up with all his coverage. He normally is on the Pacers beat. Obviously, not a lot to talk about there. The Pacers struggling through.
They won a couple games, hey.
Hey, they did, and it's good for them. I'm just saying, the fact that I say this every time, they give their effort, man. It's not like they're not trying, but when last year they had the injury bug, but of course Tyrese Halliburton is the big loss there, and that they're playing without the entire season. But at the end of the day, is this going to actually help this team next year be better for two reasons? Number one, guys that don't get to do as much with Tyrese in the game are getting a lot more reps per se, and you're going to have a higher draft pick.
Yeah, some of it. I mean, there is the question of, all right, well, how is this going to shake out in terms of who makes an impact? Who's going to be a rotation guy versus who isn't? You know, who's making the most of her opportunities, but also I guess there's also the weeded out perspective of, okay, some guys have got chances and have been like, all right, you're not being as effective, and that means might be time to go in a different direction. Yeah, I mean, so, you know, and I don't know where that stands yet. I mean, Jarris Walker had a really good game the other night. Was plus 31. I think had 13 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. And he's struggled at times. I mean, he's a guy that was, the 8th pick, and, but came into a team that was heading towards being a playoff team, and didn't get the kind of shots that you usually get as a top 10 pick as a rookie. Was a little bit more part of the rotation last year, but has been a part of the rotation this year. And you've seen him be, really up and down. And it's a question of, okay, well, is he using these reps to become a part of the core, guys that are going to stick around and be rotation players going forward, or is he playing himself into being a trade chip? And, it could go either way. Ben Mathurin is another one where, you've seen 4 years of him being pretty productive, but there is a question of fit as far as he's just more of an isolation player, and, is better when he gets some time to just set up against a defender and, attack and everything like that. But he's less good at kind of the pace and space game as a wing that the Pacers like to play. So, there's big picture questions. There's other guys who have just got an opportunity. I mean, like, they've run through how many guys on 10-day contracts, and some of them might either stick or be somebody they look to going forward. Micah Potter's done a really nice job. Hold on a second. I better shut this phone off.
That's all right. Popular.
Yeah.
That's a popular song right now.
So, But yeah, no, I'm trying to think what else on that regard. Yeah, no. Some guys are doing more with opportunities. Some guys are not, and so we'll see how that shakes out long term. I mean, like Nemhard's probably being asked to do too much. Being like the full-time point guard and asked to take up a huge defensive assignment every night. He had a great night the other night with 29 points and 9 assists. Had some other games where he's seen sort of worn out by all of it. Seen good. Good stretches. Johnny Furphy's been in the starting lineup lately. I mean, I think he's playing himself into a scenario where he's going to stick as more of a rotation guy just because I think Rick loves how hard he plays. I mean, he's, I think, earning himself a spot in the same way that Ben Shepherd did as a guy that's just going to run hard, play fast, play physical. And so, he loves those guys. So, yeah. No, I think there's going to be some positives, and I think they are going to get a high draft pick. We obviously are starting to. I went down and watched Cameron Boozer in Louisville the other night, and we're starting to I'm starting to try to look and get a sense of who are they going to focus on, who fits for them. Boozer's an interesting character because I don't know that he necessarily fits, but he's a really good player, man. I mean, he was fun to watch. It just the way he can control a basketball game. I think DeBonsa or Peterson are more up their alley. Peterson, I watched him just one offensive play against whoever they played on Saturday, and he just ran around in circles until he got a clean three and he drilled it. And it was just like so fast, basically like exactly what the Pacers are looking for in a wing next to Halliburton, of a guy that doesn't need the ball very much, but moves without it very, very well and can just confidently grab the ball, turn, shoot, and knock it down. And he's just fantastic at that. And that's, he's a great attacker and everything like that. I haven't got a chance to watch a lot of him because he's got the hamstring thing and he's so in and out, but man, I think he really fits but I think he's going to go number 1 overall. So yeah, I mean, they are going to have an opportunity to build on whatever they have.
Any chance that Indiana could land the number 1 pick?
The same as that anybody has the lottery, I mean,
what are their chances? Is there I guess we don't know right now, but
sure. They flatten the odds. I mean, basically, I think if you've got one of the worst 4 records, you have, basically all of the teams with the worst 4 records have the same odds of landing the number 1 pick because they don't want it to be, they don't want it to be too much incentive to tank. There obviously is some, and you can't remove that entirely, but there is some incentive. And so they'll have, if they stay on this track, again, they have the worst record in the league, so they would have the best chance overall, but they'd have just as good a chance of, right now it'd be Sacramento and Washington and probably New Orleans. Brooklyn could sneak back up in there, and they would go in with the most lottery tickets. So basically what it is, I mean, it's a series of ping pong balls that they pick up, and you get, everybody gets a certain amount of lottery tickets with a certain amount of numbers on them. Basically, it's like if you bought, like 50 tickets for Powerball or whatever it is, it's like you like the more, the worse you are, the more tickets you get. And so, ultimately, they're going to have one of the best chances to land it, but it's still not a 50% chance. You're somewhere in the 25% range, I think, is the best that you can get. Or maybe lower than that, maybe like 20 is the best anybody can get. But they're going to have as much a shot as anybody else, and more so. Like if you're the team, if you get beaten the play-in round, you only get a handful of tickets. Like you're not going to have very many chances. But so. And you just never know. I mean, I think, as I understand it, the Pacers were 1 ball away from getting Wembanyama. So, on some level, it's not as close as it sounds. But I think they had the first 4, come through. And then, it was the last one that didn't go their way and went San Antonio's way.
Let's say it does. Mm-hmm. Who would be the first pick has been a lot of debate.
Yeah. I think Peterson right now. I just seem to hear. I hear so much about him. Like I said, I have a hard time, getting enough time to just sit down and watch a college basketball game. It's, like I said, was why I went down to Louisville, is just say, okay, like this is the closest any of these guys are going to come. And I actually skipped the Pacers game to do it. I didn't skip it personally. My boss obviously said, you're going to go down to Louisville. We're sending somebody else to the Pacers, Cavs game. And and so like, but I haven't had a chance to really watch Peterson. He's not going to be close. I'm going to get to see him at the Combine, once that happens in Chicago. But, presumably he's not going to play games in that. But I think just like how smooth his game is. I mean, just like he just really fits, I think, a two guard in the modern game so well, because like he can pace in space. He can play fast, but he can also break you down off the bounce. I mean, like he just seems to operate so quickly, and just it has such a refined, very professional looking game as a two guard. And so I think it's either him or DeBonsa. I think Boozer will be third. Boozer is just like, he doesn't have the raw athletic explosion. He doesn't play above the rim at 6'9". But I mean, he's going to be a productive NBA player. I think Boozer is the guy that you take and say, I think he's the guy that's more likely to end up player of the year or freshman of the year out of the group. Because he's going to put up big numbers every night, and Duke's going to win, and a lot. And like even in that Louisville game, I think he had like 5 of their first 7 buckets. They were really struggling, and all they were getting was Cameron Boozer, and like he is vastly better than the rest of that team, and they've only got 1 loss. So like he's going to be super productive. He's averaging like 23.5 points and 9.5 rebounds a game, and like 3-something assists. Like he just, fantastic passer for a big guy, shoots it really well for a big guy. Like he's going to be really good, but I think the athletic explosion will probably hold him back a little. And for the Pacers purposes, I think he projects as a 4 at the next level. And they've already got a great power forward in Pascal Siakam, and like obviously he's 13 years younger, and there's still value in that. So I think if they end up at 3rd, I don't think they'll pass him up. But if they're number 1 overall, I think Peterson is a guy that fits them better. And DeBonsa is just a fantastic athlete and a really good player too. I think he's got more projectability just because he's got a lot of length and a lot of explosion. And so I think either one of those guys, I think they're going to go 1-2, regardless of who picks. I think it could be different depending on what you got. If you've already got a 2 guard you really like, you might go with DeBonsa, number 1 overall. But I think it's going to be those 2 guys, and I think it'll be Boozer and Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina will be the next 2. I think what you really want to avoid is 5th, because I think it gets sketchy at 5. I think those top 4 guys are really, really, really good. And there's good talent afterwards, but I think you got a couple point guards in there, and certainly the Pacers don't need a point guard. The kid from Houston, whose name I'm blanking on, has really shot up the boards. Like I hadn't seen him very much before, and he's like everybody's 5th now. And Michael Brown from Louisville. And so it's like, again, Pacers don't need one. Obviously they got not just an all-star in Halliburton, but Nembhard and McConnell. They're set on depth there as well. So it's going to be a wing because there's just not a big that's that high. But like guys like Nate Ament from Tennessee are going to be up there. There's a couple other guys I think that are kind of fringy past that space, but you get any one of those top 4, I think you got to feel really good about yourself.
Absolutely. I think that the Pacers should, and we'll see how they lined up. I've got to hit another break. Dustin Dopirak with the Indy Star is with me. Appreciate you listening. Back with more coming up right after these messages. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. Get more for your money at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Monday. A Monday after Indiana punches its ticket to the national championship game in college football. That's right. Dustin, you've covered everything, everybody, different levels, pros, college, Indiana, Penn State. And you know the deep roots of basketball in this state of Indiana and with Indiana University, having won 5 national championships. But I've been asked a couple of times on other radio stations where down in Alabama, they asked this question: what would Indiana fans rather have, a football national championship or a basketball national championship? And I said, that was a good question a couple of weeks ago. And I said, it might be 50-50 still, just because of the basketball roots. They're not going anywhere.
No.
But football has risen so hard and so fast, and it has filled the void of basketball not being competitive on that national stage where they have a shot at winning a national championship, that football has just risen like a tsunami that quick. And I don't think it's going anywhere, Dustin, because we've seen them do this with a talent level that shouldn't be happening in any other time. But they're going to get better. The recruits are coming to Indiana. They're not even being recruited now. They're like, hey, can I come there? And these are the 4 stars. There will be next season or the season after next for certain. Indiana's going to start bumping up. They're not going to be that 0-5-star school. And I wonder, what will they be like? Well, first of all, I think right now Indiana fans would rather have a football national championship. But that's easy to say when you're a week away from playing for it. I get that. But
I mean, I think
the uniqueness of it and the fact it's coming in the 50th anniversary of the 32-0 basketball undefeated season.
Yeah, no, I think, anybody would, a football versus a basketball championship. It's like, okay, well, like what, I mean, nobody is ever going to push aside one of those and say, well, I'd rather have this, I mean, like basically no matter what program you are, those are obviously the 2 sports that grab the most attention. So does Indiana lose its basketball roots because it wins a football national championship? No, it's like, okay, well, it's not like when Florida won a football title or a basketball title, they were like, well, are they a basketball school now? Or are they a football school? Like, what doesn't really matter? Bottom line, every department in the country has to care about both of those. You need both of those to be in a good place. And look, it's America. Everybody wants to win a football national championship. Like, let's be serious. Like, it's not like anyone doesn't, it's not like they ever didn't care about, it's not like they didn't care about football. They were just bad, it's like, it's not like Indiana didn't get behind a Colts team that won a Super Bowl. It's not like they didn't show up every Sunday to watch Peyton Manning. Let's be real. When the football team's good, it shows out. There are some sports that are like smaller that, people might not notice, where it's like, okay, where Iowa wrestling's a big deal and some other schools don't care about wrestling. And when you get into those further sports, there's more of a question of where your roots are. It's America. They care about football. Of course they do. So, but yeah, and I don't think there is probably some bittersweetness to the idea that look how hard Indiana basketball has been trying to work all these years. And football just comes in and blows right past it in a 2-year period. And then you've got to be like, okay, well, football did that. Like, how can basketball not? When you're talking about it takes less guys to get this right. There's fewer moving parts. It shouldn't have taken this long for Indiana basketball to get back. But, if you win the football title, you don't really care. You're not really thinking about that at this point. But it does, I think, also provide some positive cover for Darian DeVries. I think they're doing good. I think they're heading in a good direction. But, nobody's diving in and picking apart everything right and wrong about that team in the same way and getting the same level of frustrated because football's on such a joyride. It adds, it gives them, I think, a nice little launching pad to be able to figure out how to play and win. And, nobody's losing their minds. They had a bad loss second half the other night against Nebraska, or the other day against Nebraska. I thought they played really well in that game until they didn't. The fan base is not up in arms about it because football won. So, it gives them a nice little grace period that I think is going to be really helpful for them in the long term.
No doubt. And it's going to be fun to watch the NFL Combine in Indianapolis this year because there is going to be such an influx of Indiana players. There's going to be a lot that get drafted, and I think there's going to be a lot that get signed as unrestricted free agents just because there are so many of those guys. I don't expect to buy. D'Angelo Pons is one of those guys. I'm not sure he gets drafted. He just might, though. But if not, I cannot imagine that he doesn't sign as an unrestricted free agent, a UFA. But there's no doubt Indiana is going to have a first round, probably number one pick. It's pretty much solidified at this point. Everybody, I don't want to say it, it's a fact, but it's pretty close to guaranteed that Fernando Mendoza will be the number one pick in the NFL draft, going to the Las Vegas Raiders, where he will be.
It's going to be so weird.
and
I don't know how,
Tom and under his mentor, his hero, Tom Brady.
Yeah, Brady's not going to be his offensive coordinator. Brady's just going
to but he will. I guarantee you, they will work together because Tom Brady is taking a little bit more of an active role than people think. I believe.
Yeah, which means he should probably lose the broadcasting job.
Exactly.
But bottom line, it's going to be so weird to see Mendoza in a Raiders uniform. It's going to be so weird to see him in Vegas. It just doesn't. It's he's entirely too pure. He's entirely too pure to go out there. And entirely
the silver and black with all the fans and all this stuff, and then there are guys going to be, as giving the glory to God and thanking everybody and being so nice, and maybe he'll say, and you Raider fans, I love you, but maybe you be nice to people or something. It's just going to be hilarious.
It's going to be strange. It's going to be very strange to see him bring his style of leadership over there. It's good.
Yeah, Brian says a saint in Sin City.
Yeah, it's going to be odd. It's going to be really weird. But he's earned it. Just every throw that there were some just true darts in the other game. And I think another guy that I think is, if I haven't looked at the draft boards enough to say, but I saw this somebody, a scout had this comment that Elijah Surratt's a pro. He's a long time. He's one of those guys that's going to be a 10-year guy in the league because combat catches really matter at that level. And
I'll tell you who's going to be a pro and is not going this year is Charlie Becker.
Yeah.
That dude.
Yeah, Becker and Surratt make, and
Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper's tough. Omar Cooper's going to be a great slot guy, I think. He just makes great catches. But there's a ton of guys. 5 different guys caught a touchdown pass from Fernando. Someone said earlier that, he didn't do much. He didn't have to do much, but what he did was surgeon-like. There were 2 passes dropped. For the second week in a row against Alabama and against Oregon, he had more touchdowns than incompletions.
Yeah, no, I don't know where anybody gets going that he hasn't had to do much. He hasn't had Trinidad Chambliss has had more splash plays in the sense of escaping 4 guys coming at him that had broke loose from the offensive line. Mendoza hasn't had a moment like that because his team's too good. And also, why were we even talking about giving Trinidad Chambliss his 6th year of college football? That guy needs to go play pro right now today. And I think I don't know why you wouldn't sign up to take him. But anyway, Mendoza, I mean, just the darts. I mean, I think he had 2 to Surratt, where Surratt was blanketed. And, one, Surratt made a big time catch, but Mendoza put it in the only place he could, but also knew where that was going to be. He's just made a couple throws that have just been just absolutely remarkable. Only place you could put it is where he put it. I mean, the accuracy has just been, off the charts. And there have been a couple where it's it was really good play design. You got an open receiver. You just did what you were supposed to do. But there's a couple throws in there. You're okay, that's a tight window, that. I mean, it wasn't, again, he hasn't had, the Chambliss thing where he is just being chased by 3 guys and throws a backhanded, shovel pass that ends up getting 6 yards where he was supposed to get tackled for a loss of 25. Mendoza doesn't have one of those plays because, Indiana's, front line hasn't gotten beat like that. But there's just been a couple absolute darts where you're okay, if you thought for a second that he's just the quarterback of the best team and that's why he is where he is. No, there's major league throws there that you put him wherever you put him. That's a big time moment. That's going to be good enough that even if you're not, because when you get drafted number 1 overall, you're playing for a bad team and your job is to survive that. And that is the challenge, that you get all the money and you get all the praise and you get all the everything. And you go to a team that's not complete. Any quarterback that's gone 1-1 has not had a good first year or not had a fun first year because your team's not built around you yet. And, you're going to have to make something out of nothing. And, it's going to be a struggle and it's going to take a couple of years before everybody realizes why you went number 1 overall, because you're going to need to get an offensive line and a running back and everything like that. So there's going to be tough times for him going forward, when he goes from playing for the best team in the country to the worst team in the NFL. But he has shown the tools that are going to work for that in the long run.
No doubt. Appreciate you. What's up next for you, brother?
They play tonight against Boston Celtics. So, and Jaylen Brown's
your cousin from Boston.
You couldn't miss it this time. You let it wait too long the last time they played the Celtics.
I know.
You had to be all over it. No. So yeah, they got the Celtics tonight. They have Toronto on Wednesday. They're all running together and they got a road trip next week. So gonna be following this as far as it goes.
Dustin Dopirak, make sure you're giving him a follow from the Indy Star, Pacers beat writer, but sports reporter extraordinaire. And we love him and appreciate him. Thank you, sir. Tell Maxine we said hey.
We will do. She's sleeping in today.
Good for her. Good
exactly.
For her.
She had a rough weekend. She got a lot done.
Yeah.
So
enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
We'll do.
Appreciate you. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star joining us as he does each Monday. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Mike DeCourcy will be with us, and we'll hear from Adewale Agungile, an 11-year NFL veteran, former IU great. He's in the IU Hall of Fame, and lots more as we've got media availabilities coming up today with Coach Cignetti. We'll hear from him and more players as well as Adewale, and more from Mark Cuban as well, as it was just a spectacular day. Go out and have yourselves a great one. I'm Jim Coyle. Until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.